Hello guys, welcome to Nandi. Welcome to the session of the Hindu current affairs analysis. Today's topics are Operation Olivia. So this is relevant for your GS 3, biodiversity and conservation, and for prelims also it comes under environment and current affairs. Okay, so as part of this we will discuss about what is Operation Olivia and about Olive Ridley turtles and their habitat and the status in various international groupings and difference between turtles and tortoise. So number two, EPFO Aadhaar linkage. So we will discuss what is EPFO and what is Aadhaar. And this particular topic is important for your GS paper 3 as part of economy. Okay, and number three, bioethanol. So as part of bioethanol we will see what is bioethanol and what is ethanol, and what is the significance of ethanol, and we will also discuss national policy on biofuels 2018. So these are the topics. Let's begin the session. Recently, Indian Coast Guard has pressed into service an aircraft as part of Operation Olivia to protect the Olive Ridley turtles. Okay, so this is the reason Operation Olivia is in news. Let's see what is Operation Olivia. Operation Olivia was initiated in early 1980s by the government of India. Every year Operation Olivia helps. What is the purpose? The objective of this is to protect olive ridley turtles as they congregate along the Odisha coast for breeding and nesting. From November to December or November to March. So here you can see this is the Odisha coast of Odisha. Okay, so here this is completely the nesting and breeding areas of olive ridley turtles, especially Gahirmata and Rushikulya. So these are the famous sites, famous sanctuaries, and Devi Mouth. And here you can notice Subarnarekha, Baitarani, Bhamani, Mahanadi, and here you have Chilka Lake. Okay, so this all this are very important, and you have to remember north to south, south to north, and east to west, west to east directions. Okay, so this is the mass nesting beaches, Gahirmata, Devi Mouth and Rushikulya. And Gahirmata is very famous. Gahirmata and Rushikulya are very famous. And these stars uh, indicates sporadic nesting beaches. This is all completely a breeding and nesting areas of the olive ridley turtles. Okay, so let's see what are the olive ridley turtles. They are smallest and most abundant of all sea turtles found in the world. They are carnivores, by the way. Okay, and they migrate thousands of kilometers between feeding and mating grounds in course of a year from January to March. So one more thing is very important when it comes to olive ridley turtles, that is they are known for unique mass nesting. It's called Aribada. This very important, guys. Aribada means what? It's a unique mass nesting of olive ridley turtles. So they don't nest in a isolation. They nest they gather thousands in a lakhs, thousands of numbers, thousands of turtles come to the beaches and the nest in a groups. Okay, so that we call it as a Aribada, where thousands of females come together on same beaches to lay eggs. Okay, So when it comes to the habitat, they are found in warm, not cold water, warm waters of Pacific, Atlantic, Indian Ocean. So the Odisha's Gahir Mata Marine Sanctuary is known as the world's largest rookery of sea turtles. So this is Gahir Mata Marine Sanctuary. It is the world's largest rookery of sea turtles. Okay, this is famous for the turtles mass nesting or aribada. I'll show you in the next slide. And so all these information is very important for you. So you have to memorize. We have to give all this data in your mind. So especially you have to remember from these directions. Okay. So please note down these details. Let's see. I'll show you in the next slide. So this is aribada mass nesting. Look at it. Thousands of female turtles here they're nesting eggs in the beaches. So here you can see the mother female turtle laying the eggs here. So these are the eggs. Okay. So these are the eggs. So when it comes to the status, what is the status of these turtles in the IUCN Red List? They are vulnerable. Okay. When it comes to CITES, Appendix 1 in the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, they comes under Schedule 1. So all these status are very important. Okay, and there are other initiatives to protect the olive-related turtles. That is, Government of Odisha has made it mandatory for trawlers to use turtle excluder devices. States a net specially designed with an exit cover which allows the turtles to escape while retaining the catch, because the trawls are used for catching fish. Sometimes instead of fishes, sometimes olive-related turtles catch in the net. So in order to protect them, in order to save them, the Odisha government has come up with an initiative, that is turtle excluder devices. So the nets should catch only fishes, so that it facilitates these turtle excluder devices excludes and it identifies the turtles, so in order to save them. Okay, so these are the data which is very important for you. Let's see the difference between turtles and turtles. So here you can see the difference between turtle and tortoise. Okay, so you can see the pictures also. So turtles are aquatic and marine form. When it comes to tortoise, it is a semi-terrestrial and freshwater form. Okay, and it's comparatively smaller in size. And when it comes to tortoise, it is usually larger in size. When it comes to their shape, it is heart-shaped carapace, and tortoise are somewhat ovoid carapace or top shell. Look at this. Look at the difference. Okay, so this is the shape, and fore and hind limbs are modified into pedals because it is a marine. So in order to enable them to swim, okay, so these are modified like a pedals. Okay, so when it comes to tortoise, they are modified. They are not modified into a pedals because these is a semi-terrestrial and freshwater form. So these, I mean, comparatively, they are very smaller. Okay, in size. Okay, head of the turtle is partially withdrawn into the shell. Here, head of the tortoise can be completely withdrawn into the shell. You might have seen in your real life also, when you try to touch the tortoise, it completely takes its head to it's inside the shell. Okay, so this is the head. Okay, if you try to touch it, it completely takes that head inside the shell in order to protect itself. Okay, so these turtle is some turtles are flesh eaters, some, not all. Some turtles are flesh eaters, as I told you, carnivores. And when it comes to tortoise or herbivores, they are herbivores and they feed almost entirely on vegetation. They are vegetarian guys. These are vegetarians. Okay, so this is the information which is necessary for you to remember for your UPSC and any state services examinations, and don't get confused, they are different. Next topic, EPFO extends Aadhaar seeding deadline. Aadhaar seeding means Aadhaar linking. Aadhaar linking. So here on Tuesday, EPFO extended the deadline for mandatory seeding of Aadhaar numbers for filing of electronic challan cum returns by employers. Okay, so that is the reason EPFO and Aadhaar are in news. Okay, so let's see what is EPFO by the way. Okay, here. So it is a government organization that manages provident fund and pensions accounts for the workforce engaged in organized sector of India. So here it only covers organized sector, not unorganized sectors. As you know, in India, more than 75% of the workforce engaged in unorganized sectors. So this EPFO, not related to or not includes the unorganized sectors employees. It includes only organized sector of India. Okay, and it covers provident fund and pension accounts, and it implements the Employees Provident Fund and Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1952, which provides for the institution of provident funds for employees in factories and other establishments. Okay, so this is administered by the Ministry of Labor and Employment of Government of India. All right, so it is the what is the significance of EPFO? It is one of the world's largest social security organization. What is this, guys? It is one of the world's largest social security organizations in terms of clientele and the volume of financial transactions undertaken. So in terms of clients and in terms of volume of financial transactions undertaken under EPFO, so it is considered as one of the world's largest social security organization. Okay, so these facts are very important when it comes to Employees Provident Fund organization. So when it comes to Aadhaar, as you know that Aadhaar is a 12-digit unique identification number. Okay, so you need to remember if you have a PAN card, just try to remember the digits, how many digits are there in the PAN card number, because UPSC in the past also asked this kind of questions. Okay, it doesn't mean that UPSC don't ask, factual numbers. It asks factual numbers also along with the concepts, so you have to remember this. Okay, and so it's a 12-digit unique identification number that can be obtained voluntarily. There is no force. Okay, it's voluntarily by residents or passport holders, by residents and passport holders of India, based on the biometric and demographic data. So it includes biometric as well as demographic data. Okay, so the data is collected. Who collects this data, by the way? This data is collected by Unique Identification Authority of India, UIDAI. Okay, this institution is important. So it is a statutory authority. Okay, it is a statutory authority established in 2009 by Government of India under the jurisdiction of Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. So UIDAI administered under the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, following the provisions of Aadhaar targeted delivery of financial and other subsidies, benefits and services Act 2016. So here it extended the deadline in order to access the benefits or subsidies and services under this particular scheme. So these two aspects are very important from your examination point of view. Okay, so please note down this point. Next topic, FCI, that is Food Corporation of India, rice to be used for ethanol production. 78,000 tons of stocks to be diverted. So this is in comply with the National Biodiversity Policy. So it comes in the background of that. Earlier this month, Prime Minister Narendra Modi presented a roadmap advancing the target date for achieving 20% blending of ethanol in petrol by 5 years to 2025. Earlier it was 2030. The target was 2030. By 2030 it wanted to achieve 20% of blending of ethanol in petrol, but now we advanced this date to 2025. So in order to comply or cope up with it, so they have rice to be, the FCI rice to be used for the ethanol production. We will see what is ethanol and what is ethanol blending, and what is the National Biodiversity Policy 2018. But let's see what is FCI. Okay, what is Food Corporation of India? So it is a statutory body, by the way. It is a statutory body. You know the difference between statutory and constitutional bodies, right? Statutory body which is established by a parliamentary act. Okay, and the constitutional bodies are somewhere mentioned in the constitution articles of the Indian Constitution. They are mentioned in the Constitution in the form of articles. So when it comes to statutory body, it was established by the parliamentary act. Okay, when it comes to executive, you have executive bodies also. Executive bodies are established by the executive order. Okay, this is the fundamental difference. So when was this established, by the way? FCI was established in 1965. 1965 under the Food Corporation Act. Okay, so it was established in the backdrop, against the backdrop of major shortage of grains, especially wheat. So there was a huge shortage of grains in India. So in order to tackle that crisis, they were established the Food Corporation of India in 1965. So what are the primary duty of the Food Corporation of India? Its primary duty is to undertake purchases, store, transport, distribute and selling food grains and other foodstuffs. So this is the primary duty of the Food Corporation of India. Okay, so how does this FCI works? It functions through a countrywide networks of offices. So it has headquarters. Where is it headquarters? Headquarters is in New Delhi. Okay, and it has five zonal offices. Where are they? And 5 zonal offices and 25 regional offices and 170 district offices. Okay, so this is the data related to the FCI. So you must remember it is a statutory body established in 1965 under a constitution, under a parliamentary act, in order to serve the purpose of this. Okay, and it headquartered in New Delhi, and it has zonal offices, regional offices and district offices also. So this is the setup of FCI. So when it comes to ethanol, what is ethanol, by the way? Okay, ethanol is also called as ethyl alcohol, grain alcohol, drinking alcohol, or simply alcohol. Is an organic chemical compound. It is an organic chemical compound. It is a volatile, flammable, colorless liquid. What is the features? These are the features of ethanol. That is, it is volatile, flammable, colorless liquid with a slight characteristic odor. Okay, so ethanol is naturally produced by the fermentation of sugars by yeast or via petrochemical processes such as ethylene hydrohydration. Okay, it has medical applications as an antiseptic and disinfectant also. Okay, so it is used as a chemical solvent too. Let's see what is ethanol blending. It means blending of ethanol with other relevant fuels. Okay, blending with the other relevant fuels to make them more energy efficient. So in order to make them more energy efficient and eco-friendly and environmental friendly, they are blended with the other relevant fuels. Okay, so ethanol can be mixed with gasoline to form different blends. So okay, as the ethanol molecule contains oxygen, it contains oxygen. As a result, it allows the engine to more completely combust the fuels, okay, and resulting the favor emissions and thereby reducing the occurrence of environmental pollution. So here it leads to less environment pollution, okay. And since ethanol is produced from plants that harness the power of sun, ethanol is also considered as renewable fuel. Okay, so ethanol blended petrol program was launched in 2003. The program sought to promote the use of alternative and environmental friendly fuels to reduce the import dependency for energy requirement. As you know that India mostly depends on imports when it comes to petroleum and natural gases. Okay, so in order to reduce that dependency on other countries, so India started implementing this ethanol blending petrol program since 2003 in order to promote alternative and environment friendly fuels to reduce the important dependency for energy requirements from other countries. Okay, so what are the purpose and importance of this blending? Let's see the purpose and importance. To provide green and clean alternative fuel source, and to reduce the burden of high fuel imports. To it reduces emissions of greenhouse gases, and to provide alternative market crops, to promote organized sale of reduced crop and benefits farmers with income security and high returns also, and to promote behavioral change and fuel consumption, to rise spending on research and development and better utilization of urban solid waste and possible employment generation. So these are the benefits and importance of the blending. Okay, so let's see what is National Policy on Biofuels 2018. So here I've mentioned this, the silent features of the policy. Okay, so it categorizes biofuels in various categories to enable extension of appropriate financial and fiscal incentives under each category. There are four categories, that is basic fuels or first generation biofuels. Okay, it includes bio alcohols, biodiesel, etc. And advanced biofuels, or we call it as second generation. It includes ethanol, municipal solid wastes to drop in fuels, etc. And third generation, it includes butanol, and fourth generation, it includes fuel from genetically engineered crops. Okay, so these are important when it comes to your preliminary examination point of view. So please remember these facts. And it expands the scope of raw materials for ethanol production by allowing use of sugar cane juice, sugar containing materials like sugar beet, sweet, sorghum, etc. Okay, so, and what is the objective of this policy, by the way? The objective of the policy is to achieve 20% ethanol blending, 5% biodiesel blending by the year 2030. So it was advanced by the Narendra Modi in order to meet this target by 2025 itself. Okay, so that is the reason it is in news. It also expands the scope of feedstock for ethanol production and has provided for incentives for production of advanced biofuels. So this is the data which is very important when it comes to your preliminary and the mains point of view, and this topic is quite relevant for any UPSC and other state services exams also. So please remember the facts and memorize the facts and understand the concepts.